Good morning. Uh-oh. Just checking something. Uh, uh-oh. Come on. My evil internet connection just isn't working out for me. It seems okay right now. All right, we're good, I think, at least for the moment. Good morning from snowy downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire. Hi, Howard. Good morning, Howard. We have another book giveaway today. Howard already won a book. Last week, Witta won, but I haven't been able to mail the book because it has been snowing every day. Every day. It started Tuesday night and it's still snowing today. 7 days later, or is that 8 days? Today's Tuesday. Well, it will have been 8 days tonight. However, I will get it mailed as soon as there's a break in all these crazy storms so I can get a ride to the post office. Meanwhile, today you'll once again have a choice between Conversations with Philip K. Dick or my novel, my surrealist novel, The Darkening of the Light. There's actually an image of a raccoon in here. I could have sworn that it was my cover, but it's actually Nick Buchanan's cover art on that novel. He's an amazing graphic artist, but that isn't his primary occupation. I keep forgetting what he does. Anyway, very fine Englishman, and I got to meet him in person at the last Philip K. Dick Festival in Fort Morgan, Colorado. I think that was 2018. It's been crazy with COVID. Nobody's traveling who doesn't have to travel. Anyway, let's see. So I've given away 3 books to Howard and Morgan, and Witta will get one soon. Hi, Oswald. So this week, okay, good morning, Oswald. This week, the people eligible to win the number is dwindling, so everyone has a better chance. I know I'm starting a little early, but not super early. I never know how well my internet will hold up, and with the weather we're having today, stuff can happen to internet when there's snow falling. And I think there must have been some lightning strikes. I didn't hear any thunder, but my lights flickered. So who knows? YouTube, as usual, says I have 1 listener, but I have 2 people in chat. Whatever. I'm not here for the ratings. I'm here to chat with some good friends in my chat room. And I keep forgetting to allow the chat to be replayed. I think I remembered it once, long time ago. Anyway, yes, there's snow everywhere, and I can't show it to you because for some reason, YouTube will not allow me to go live on a portable device. Believe me, I've tried. And I'm not going to carry the computer around. Yeah, right, Tora? Come say hi to your adoring fans. You're just in time. Yes. Oh, gosh, you're a big girl. She's heavy. Say hi. Say hello. She says, get me out of here, Mom. I'm not having this. Yes, she's a pretty girl. She's such a good girl. Okay, go knock down. I've thought about talking about the Bible again. In Matthew, I think it's chapter 4, when Satan tempts Jesus in the wilderness. It's either chapter 4 or chapter 8. Well, Satan quotes a line from Psalm 91. What the heck? What does my phone want now? Hey, quit interrupting my video, you stinking phone. It's telling me that I'm live on YouTube. Yeah? Let's turn the sound down. Not that it ever works, but I'll try muting the phone. Well, last year was Tora's first snow adventure. She went out the front door and walked about 2 feet that way. Didn't like it, came back, walked about 2 feet that way. Didn't like it, came back and went back into the house. But eventually she was playing in the snow with her friend Sweetie. But this year I'm doing my best not to let either cat go outside until the snow melts. Yes, the phone is Ahrimanic technology. Ahriman, the dark and evil god of Zoroastrianism, opponent of the Lord of Light. Oh man, I've got glare again. The sun must be coming out. Well, anyway, Psalm 91 is really amazing. It's, Satan tells Jesus in Matthew, God will have the angels lift you up lest you dash your foot against a stone. That's from Psalm 91. Now let me go close those curtains. Glare. Dum-de-dum. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Dum-de-dum. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Ah. Close. Close, please. Thank you. Dum-de-dum. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Don't trip me, Tora. Don't get under my feet. I have a feeling that if I fell and couldn't get up, or if I died, that cat would eat me. Sorry it's breaking up, Howard. Yeah, I don't see anything on my end that's breaking up at the moment, but I was in the other room. Okay. Well, the interesting thing about Psalm 91 has to do with the Dead Sea Scrolls. in one of the caves, I don't remember which one, they found a jar containing 5 scrolls. One was Psalm 91. The other 4 were Psalms that are not in the Bible, and they're about exorcism. There is a tradition that both David and his son King Solomon performed exorcisms and freed people who were demon possessed. Very interesting. I'm afraid to try to open another window and see the psalm on my computer. I'm glad it's okay, Howard. I do have a Bible. Where'd I put it? Oh, it's right here. This one's the King James Version, and it's a study Bible. Psalm 91. Okay. When Mom put me in that Baptist school, I had to memorize all the books of the Bible, Old Testament and New, in order. And there was a test. But of course, I don't have to remember it now. There's Proverbs, so Psalms will be right before it. There, here we go. And these pages are so thin, I'm afraid of tearing them. Look, Psalm 91. God is a refuge and a fortress. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. I'm looking for the line that Satan quoted. Oh, well, I'm going to read line 6 because it kind of hints at demons. Line 6, nor for the, 5 and 6, sorry. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Now line 6, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Now, I'm not the expert on this, but Dr. Michael S. Heiser says that these things are names of demons, of pagan gods, evil pagan gods. The terror by night, and the arrow that flieth by day, which reminds me of that scene in the Iliad, the Greek tale of the Trojan War from Homer. The Greeks insulted the god Apollo, so Apollo shot them with arrows that caused a disease, and the Greek army suffered a plague until they propitiated Apollo. And then the pestilence that walketh in darkness, that's also a disease, a plague. And the destruction that wasteth at noonday, those are demons. Now, where is the line about striking your foot against a stone? Well, line 10 kind of sums it up as far as the protection goes. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Demons and pestilence, disease. Here we go, 11 and 12. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. And Matthew, wherever in Matthew, Satan, in tempting Jesus, quotes the line about dashing your foot against a stone. So it's lines 11 and 12. And that, of course, refers to the king, King David, King Solomon, etc. And each king of Israel was a Messiah. Of course, Jesus is the Messiah, so it also applies to him. And Jesus says, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. He isn't falling for it. Satan wants him to jump off the cliff. Or maybe it's the wall of a castle. I think it's a cliff, because surely the angels will lift him up and not allow him to become injured. He ain't going for it. Okay. Now that I have a few more people in here, where'd I put my books? Ah, they're right there. I just didn't see them. I see things, but my brain doesn't tell me what they are. Once again, the choice of books today, same as last week. Conversations with Philip K. Dick. Sorry about the glare. And the other choice is my novel, The Darkening of the Light. Both of them with awesome cover art by Nick Buchanan. It was such a pleasure to meet him in Fort Morgan, Colorado. It would be 2017 or 18, I guess 2017. Seems like a million years ago now because so much has happened. But he lives in England, so it'll be a while before I can visit him. I dream sometimes of selling this house and using the money to travel, but what would I do with all my books? I have thousands of books. And where would I live? I couldn't rent a room for what this house costs me. And it's the one thing I have to leave to my son when I'm gone. I am. Just a second, I did something stupid. Come on. Oh, come on. There, here. Still not done. Hang on. That's better. I knocked the burning part off the cigarette, so I got the cat training mechanism to put it out. I'll tell you, a squirt gun or a spray bottle filled with water will teach a cat to quit shredding my cardboard box where I keep my Tupperware. Oh, Tora would eat me and then she'd go find a new home. Tora will be fine. Besides, I expect to live to be at least 90. And cats don't live that long. She's about 2 years now in 2021, end of the year. Hardly seems possible. Well, let's see. No, she isn't 2 years. She'll be 2 years in the summer of 2022. She's a teenager. Oh, parents will tell you raising children seems difficult, but it's easy compared to teenagers. And Sweetie is 13. She'll be 14 this summer. Yeah, Oswald, I'm hoping these restrictions will end because I can't take another COVID shot. The adverse reaction that I had was extreme and painful and long term. I'm not going through that again. Anyway, let's see, my water's empty, which is probably why I need to make a pit stop. Let me, while I'm doing that, I'll think of a number between 15, well, I was hoping Jan might show up. I'll think of a number between 15 and 25, but at the moment, the only eligible chatter is Oswald. So unless someone else shows up, you're going to win the book. But I'll start picking a number. I'm going to get some water and then make a pit stop. I'll be back. Okay, dum-de-dum. Just a moment. There's a rock in my shoe. Dum-de-dum. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. We've got at least an inch of snow on the ground. Oh, really? Most of the anti-vaxxers had adverse reactions to the first shot. Many people who are against the mandate are fully vaccinated. They're simply against government overreach, wielding power that they don't rightfully possess. Now let's try not to knock the burning end off of this one. That was not a good move. Tora. Okay. Guess what Tora wants? Yes, dear. She will pester me mercilessly if I don't bend to her wishes. Okay. Here we go. Oswald isn't even trying to guess a number. Well, you don't have to. You're the only eligible chatter. Oh, yes. Getting a book would be awesome, Oswald. I haven't been able to send Witta's book. He or she, I think she won last week, but it has snowed every day since then. And the people who drive me around either don't have chains for their cars or need to find someone to put the chains on because they can't do it themselves. Well, what you guess every time isn't between 15 and 25, Oswald. Besides, I thought you'd always guess 7 because of my chat name. But you don't. And it isn't between 15 and 25. Wow. Last week, Jen almost won. Hi, Tim. Hello. Good morning, Tim. Let me make my mouse wake up. Tim hasn't won yet. Last week, Jen almost won, but he went over. And I want the closest number that didn't go over. So Witta won. But I intend to keep doing this until every one of you wins a book. That's my goal, is to give books away. Let's see. Well, we talked about Psalm 91. We talked about snow. Several of our roads got jammed with people who got stuck. Even some cars that had chains on got stuck on some of our roads. But the biggest thing was it not only snowed, it also rained a lot, and our main highway leaving town washed out. On the curbs, they're usually on cantilevers. Rather than on solid ground, there's a support that's firmly, maybe not so firmly, pounded into the mountainside, the cliff on the open side of the road. Well, one of those curves washed out. The dirt just slid down the slope, so half the road slid down the slope too. Well, half of one lane slid and crumbled. So the main highway is closed indefinitely, and the estimate for repairs is $4 million. They have to put in new supports and a new cantilever and repave it and restripe it and, put in a new guardrail. It'll be a while. But we have 2 alternate routes, actually 3, but most people don't know about the third one. And it really goes to Palm Springs, whereas most people want to go to San Bernardino. So they're adding 1 or 2 hours to their trips up and down the mountain, taking the alternate routes. Now, if you're in a big rig or even a large, like 30-foot U-Haul truck or a truck and trailer, you really don't want to take the 138 on the backside. There are legal reasons why the state highway patrol cannot ban big rigs on that road, but they do have a sign that says recommended. It really should be closed to anything over 30 feet, kingpin to rear axle, because even at 38, you cannot negotiate the hairpin turns without crossing onto the wrong side of the road. And we've had more than one big rig try that road because they didn't know. Nobody told them. And they jackknifed or went slightly off the edge, not completely, but enough to get stuck and block the whole road. And last night, some cars were stuck. Even cars with chains got stuck on that road because of the ice. It's treacherous. Now, the 330 on the south side of the mountain, which goes up to Running Springs, there's a lot of traffic, but it's a much better road. It's a 4-lane highway in most places, with passing lanes and turnouts. In other words, 2 lanes going up, 2 lanes coming down. But there have been times when rock slides closed that road, big old boulders sitting in the traffic lanes will kind of discourage you from traveling. Oh, wow. Amazing. So, Tim, I'm kind of stalling because Jan hasn't shown up. But I have the same 2 books, numbered between 15 and 25, and you and Oswald are both eligible. And as I said, my goal is to make sure that everyone who comes to my chat room wins a signed copy of one of my books. All is well, I guess. I think my kidney infection is gone. I went to a real doctor and paid cash to get real medication that really kills the infection, and I think it worked, but I'll have to return after New Year's and get a second test just to be sure. But then my new insurance will kick in and it won't cost me anything. Here's my water. I can't leave this video until I give away a book. Oswald picked 21. That's different. Tim needs to pick a number, and if Jan comes in, we'll let Jan pick a number. Oswald missed the regulations. I'm not sure what that means. Anyway, yeah. Oswald is a Facebook friend as well, so I could just sneak in there and say, which book do you want? But it's more fun to have this little contest. And the light in this house is weird. My sweater is actually black, and it keeps looking brown. And I'm wearing the hat because my house is drafty. It'll never get really warm when it's windy outside. The wind is dying down, so maybe it'll warm up this morning. Okay. Now, yeah, I kind of suspected that, Tim. Oswald's under a different name in Facebook as well. But she tipped me off as to what that name was. Um, well, most people use fake names on YouTube. They just do. It's hard to see, but I think your profile photo is Abbott and Costello. I have, my real name, but I had to change my last name because YouTube thinks it's a bad word. But the picture is actually me with Smokey Bear a few years ago now. Oh, that's interesting, Oswald. Oh, I see your picture isn't a woman. Whatever. Oh, Harpo meets Salvador Dali. That's even better than Abbott and Costello. Okay, well, Oswald, uh, whatever you are, it's okay. Whatever you are, you're um, a good friend. Even though we've never met in person, you're a good virtual friend. Or is virtual the right word? Online friend, anyway. Ah, Sleepy Dave hasn't shown up either. The die-cast in racers. Oh, Oswald, you can be an enigma. I looked up Oswald Spangler once. That's a real person. But I don't remember much about him. I'll have to look it up again. But I can't trust my internet connection right now. Yeah, I just I'm tired of people on both sides of the political spectrum who have no sense of humor, no grace, no courtesy. They get angry when you say something harmless because it pushes one of their buttons. It's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, the cyclical theory of history and the fall of Faustian civilization. That reminds me, I've read, because I heard it on YouTube, N.T. Wright, an Anglican bishop who writes books and gives speeches and stuff. Professor N.T. Wright. He goes by his middle name, Tom. I think his first name is Nathaniel. He doesn't like it. Anyway, great scholar. And he talked about this comes up because of Faust. He talks about Albert Schweitzer, the Christian missionary doctor. I always confuse him with David Livingstone. But he did much the same thing. He was a doctor who went to Africa to convert the natives to Christianity, and he also gave them medical treatment. Well, Albert Schweitzer thought that the early Christians expected the world to come to an end within their lifetime. And even though it isn't exactly Faust, Albert Schweitzer was obsessed with Richard Wagner. People call him Richard Wagner. It's Richard Wagner's Ring trilogy. The operas. He actually sat through all 20 hours of the entire cycle of operas 3 times. He was obsessed with it. And even though Wagner's operas are not based on Faust, they are very Faustian. Ah, gosh, I'm clumsy. Just dropped something. Okay, well, in the end, the end of the cycle is Götterdämmerung, the twilight of the gods, in which Valhalla, the home of the gods, is destroyed, and so is the earth. And of course, at the end of Faust, well, depending upon which version you read, Marlowe's in particular, demons come up from under the floor and drag Faust down into hell. Goethe kind of cheated. He had God say, well, you know, devil, you cheated. You don't get his soul because you didn't really give him Helen of Troy. You just gave him a demon in the form of Helen of Troy. Therefore, you lose because you cheated. Well, doesn't the devil always cheat? They say Spengler was a Nazi? No. I know that isn't true. Well, history does run in cycles. And one of the most vicious cycles is empire. Why do our history classes teach us how wonderful the empires were and how sad it was that they fell? Alexander the Great should be Alexander the Pillager. He was probably more canny, more smart than emperors who just destroyed everything and enslaved all the people. He pretty much allowed life to go on after he got what he wanted. Put in his own chosen ruler for a town, a city, or a country. And, you know, got paid lots of gold, silver, jewels. But, you know, he was still Alexander the Destroyer, not the empire builder. He claimed to have conquered all of Europe. Well, what he conquered was the Mediterranean coast, a few cities around the Mediterranean. Now, he did take over all of Egypt, but most of that work was actually done after he died by the Cleopatra's family. Why can't I think of their name? Well, anyway, I don't dare ask Google. I might lose my internet connection here. So, Egypt had Greek pharaohs for a while. All I can think of is Pompeii, and that's the city that got buried by the volcano. Anyway, under their rule, Cleopatra's family, the Jewish scholars in Egypt flourished, and they wrote in Greek. Because, Greek was the language of the conquerors. Wow. I'm really frustrated that word has gone from my head. It's totally missing. The Greek pharaohs of Egypt had a family name. It's gone. Hi, Jason. Ptolemies. Yes, thank you, Tim. Ptolemaic. Ah, awesome. Good morning, Jason. Tim still hasn't guessed a number to possibly win a book. A signed copy. Your choice. Either Conversations with Philip K. Dick or my surrealist novel, The Darkening of the Light. A number between 15 and 25. Tim, it has to be 15 or higher. Now I have to scroll up and remind myself what Oswald guessed. Oh, 21. Okay. Oh, Tim nailed it. 17. He retracted his message. Shame on you. Well, it's the closest without going over usually, but both Oswald and Jason went over and Tim nailed it. But he retracted his message. Yes, Tim, you nailed it right on the button. What you need to do is email me your shipping info to Kitty's Cats. I'm checking for typos. 777@gmail.com. Oh, that was an error? I thought it was just... Oh, okay. I don't know why you think it's always 17. I could have picked anything. All right. Well, email me your shipping info, and I'll keep doing this until everybody in chat has won a book. And let me know which book you want. Signed by the author. Conversations with Philip K. Dick, or The Darkening of the Light. Kitty's Cats. Kitties with an S. Originally, my cats were emailing a friend's cats. And of course, we had to type for the cats because all they do is meow or purr. It was fun for a while. The cats would complain about what their humans were doing and how they never got enough treats. And they wanted their litter boxes scooped more often. Okay, I'll check my email after this video is done. I just don't want to have YouTube say that I don't have a connection or your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect. I hate it when it does that. Man, I closed those curtains and I'm still getting glare. I'm going to have to take a big bath towel and hang it over that window next time and see if that gets rid of the glare. Meanwhile, if I sit over here, I can block the glare. We don't have a lot of ambient light coming in because of the snow and the cloud cover. Just peeking out the one window I can see through. Yep, the snowplow made a 2-foot berm across my driveway. I'll have to chip out a small path to walk out, but I don't plan to even leave the house today. Oswald, if you'd feel guilty, Kitty's Cats is also my PayPal account if you really want to pay for a book. I have all these books on hand because I bought them to take to Fort Morgan, Colorado in 2019, and then the COVID pandemic shut us down and we couldn't do it. So the books are not costing me anything now, and as you might imagine, authors' copies don't cost as much as what you pay. My biggest expense is shipping, and that isn't much. Sometimes I use priority mail, which has gone up to more than $7, but even on my budget, I can manage that. Anyway, my bills are paid, my heat is on, my lights are on, and I think my internet is on. And Tora has quit pestering me for the moment. But I think it's very interesting that in the mainstream educational system, they don't tell you about Albert Schweitzer's obsession with Wagner's Ring. And of course, Richard Wagner really isn't Richard Wagner, it's Richard Wagner. He was a full-on Nazi before Nazis existed. There weren't any Nazis, but I can see why they loved his operas. He was anti-Semitic to the core and obsessed with the Norse mythology, Odin and, well, he called him Wotan. Depends on which language you're speaking, what the names of the gods are. Wotan and Brunhilde. I think she's his wife. Anyway, she's a major goddess. And she embraces and actually either causes or accelerates the destruction of Valhalla, the castle in the sky where the gods live. It has to happen, which is one reason why I love the movie Thor. I guess it's a pretty old movie now, but I rarely see a movie when it's new. I was mucking around on Netflix because my sister put me on her family membership, so I get Netflix for free, and I watched Thor 2 or 3 times. It's about the Norse gods, and at the end, Thor figures out that Valhalla has to fall so it can be renewed. It's not exactly, in line with what Wagner wrote or with Norse mythology, but it was good ending. Did Phil side with Wagner or Nietzsche? Oswald asks. Well, he was obsessed with both. I think one of the most amazing things about Philip K. Dick's mind was that he could hold two completely opposite and opposing views at the same time. But he had, remember the old record albums, 33 LPs on vinyl? He would play Wagner's entire Ring trilogy, not all in one day, but his favorite part was the Ride of the Valkyrie. And that music, of course, was used in the movie Apocalypse Now, which is really based on Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Now, Heart of Darkness, Conrad was Polish, but he wrote in English because, nobody published books in Polish. And it's about the Congo, I think the Belgian Congo in Africa in the 1800s. And parts of the African map were just black because nobody knew what was there. The explorers had not mapped it. And there were many places no white man had ever gone. But by the end of the book, you realize that the Heart of Darkness isn't the black people in deepest, darkest Africa. The Heart of Darkness is within the European men who colonized Africa. Many people read the book and don't get it, but that's what it's really about. And then Apocalypse Now, of course, is set in Vietnam, but it's pretty similar to its basis. The crazy man, the crazy European man who's made himself a god to the native people, and the man's one goal in life is for someone to kill him. He wants to be killed. And then Wagner, of course, in the end, destruction. Faust, in the end, except in Goethe, who cheated, the end for Faust is destruction. It's a continuing theme in the literature and music and art of what we call the Enlightenment. I think the Enlightenment, and I think Phil would agree, the so-called Enlightenment was a period of great darkness. It goes back, it has roots in the 16th century, so the 1500s. But it came to full flowering in the late 1700s and the early 1800s, and it still rules much of our academia today, especially in academic science. You know, oh, home remedies don't work. How dare you self diagnose or self medicate? Doctors have scientific experiments that prove that their cures work. Oh, about 50% of the time, which is as good as a placebo. I mean, there are some things like my kidney infection. Yes, I go to a real doctor and get real antibiotics, and they really work. However, if I use some home remedy and the doctor says, well, that's the placebo effect, you got better because you believed you would get better. Well, I'll take it. Works for me. Not in the Enlightenment. You have to have a scientific study with a control group and all this and that, and it has to be falsifiable and repeatable. Some things are not repeatable, and anyone who has ever fallen in love knows that. Nobody can come up with a scientific test to tell me whether my spouse or my son or my cat loves me. But that love is real. Yes, Oswald says the ability to entertain two opposing ideas is a rapidly declining ability, surely a sign of the decline. So true. Anyway, Phil would get depressed, and when he got depressed, he would read Nietzsche. He had a book of Nietzsche's. I don't remember the title, I think it's probably a collection of essays by and about Nietzsche. But he said, by plunging into the depths of despair by reading Nietzsche, he could cure his depression by, instead of trying to avoid it and act all happy, he would embrace it completely and go through it and climb out from the bottom. Hey, whatever works. Now, I've studied enough science to know that science is useful, but it is not the only path to knowledge. Academic science, science in the wider sense of seeking knowledge, is something that we all do all the time. Let's say you try a new food that you've never eaten before. For me, it was sea urchin. Tasty, but slimy. I couldn't get past the slime. It was at a sushi bar, a good one. A really high-end, expensive sushi bar. I wouldn't have tried anything that weird anywhere else. Well, that was science. Is sea urchin good to eat? Let's try it. But I'm not going to repeat it. No, don't think so. Even though it is tasty, I can't get past the slimy texture. Phil sought knowledge primarily by reading. He was what they called a sickly child. He had asthma, which is why he ended up with a huge barrel chest from his lungs expanding because he had asthma. His lungs expanded to deliver more oxygen to his brain and the rest of his body. So he did a lot of reading. And he said when he was in high school, When he came home from school in the afternoon, he had to be really quiet and not disturb his mother, Dorothy, because every day she would sit in bed and read a book. And it was always the Reader's Digest condensed books. But she did have is it a radio or a stereo? Maybe both. Phil wrote about it many times. He and his friend Ray Nelson, who later became an editor and author himself, would go down into the basement and play music. So between reading books and playing mostly classical music, Phil filled his childhood with science of a sort. He came to understand music so well that at one point he was the DJ on a radio station that played classical music. Okay, the chat has subsided and I'm subsiding, and it has been over an hour. And I don't know, I guess I should eat breakfast or something. My sleep schedule is off. So wonky. I actually slept 9 hours last night, but that 9 hours got me up at, well, I actually slept 8 hours and then stayed in bed an additional hour. So I was awake at 4 a.m., but I didn't get up till 5, almost 5:30. I'm trying to get back to where I wake up at least as late as 7. Please. I want the sun to be shining when I get up. It's so dark before sunrise. So anyway, we have a winner. You need to tell me which book and where to send it. And don't worry about it. These books cost me nothing. I bought them over 2 years ago. Let's see, going on 3 years. Almost 3 years ago. And the postage isn't much. Couple of bucks. Even if I send the book first class, it's I'm pretty sure it's under $5, so it's not a big deal. I can manage that. Oh, and starting in January, my Social Security goes up by almost $35 a month. If I had the money that I paid in and put it into an IRA account, I'd be doing really well right now. But I had to pay Social Security. It's the law. And because I was primarily self-employed, I paid the whole thing. W-2 employees pay half of it. And it's been well over 10% of my income for my entire working life. I wish I could work a job now. I would love to get up in the morning, drive a car to an office, and work. But I can't do it. Just can't. Good thing I'm old enough to get Social Security. Anyway, it really is time to sign off, and oh, my mouse went to sleep again. Hey, evil mouse. So let's type that. Thank you all for listening, and have a great day. All right. Why do I always have at least one typo? Hello, Sandra. I'm about to sign off. Good to see you. Thank you, Tim. Maybe Sandra can listen to the replay. Whee, Jason. Glad you came. All of you. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's just the beginning. So let's build our world the way it should be. Let's learn about the past so we don't repeat it. And don't expect the world to come to an end. That isn't the Bible. It isn't in most religions, except the crazy Norseman. That's Wagner, not God. God is making a new heavens and a new earth. And in the meantime, we need to be kind to each other and helpful and to build what we can and try always to be good, both in the sense of having goodness in your own life and spreading goodness to others, even when you disagree with them. Tessa TV. Yes, please be kind, rewind. Yeah, I used to rent videotapes. Actually, I usually waited till the video rental place sold them real cheap because they weren't getting rented that often. I got some really great movies that way for like $1 or $2 each. Okay, let's rise and shine and... Oh dear, that song came to mind. Rise and shine and give God your glory. I don't like the song, it's kind of silly, but I kind of like it, even though I don't. Let's all be good and do good as much as possible. And I'll sign off now. So have a glorious day. Bye.